Hey, Taco Tuesday fans, this is Christian Brindle.
And I am Glen Shelton.
We came together and combined our forces to create something special for insurance agents called Taco Tuesday. Let's taco about insurance. My company, Christian Brindle Insurance Services,
and my company, Lead Heroes,
is here to bring you the latest and greatest news happening in the insurance industry today and eat some tacos while we do it.
If you enjoy the content that we put out on this podcast, feel free to leave us a review or subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes.
Without further ado, let's get into this episode of Taco Tuesday.
I'm so angry today. Taco Tuesday.
What's up, you guys? This is Christian Brindle. This is Oscar the Grouch. And welcome to another edition, guys, of
Sesame Street. Welcome to Sesame Street.
Welcome to Sesame Street. And we're back with another episode, you guys. In all seriousness, I'm Christian Brindle. He's Glen Shelton, and we're here to talk about insurance. This is yet another week we don't have tacos, so sue me.
Sue me.
we have such a good episode planned for you guys here today, and I'm really excited to kind of jump into the topic. I almost kind of want to utilize all of our time to really jump into it because I feel like before we know it, we could just snap our fingers and we're 2 hours in on this topic. And I know we only have so much time.
This is like we're going to have a part two. That's how big this topic is. Like this will probably just be part one.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, we're going to be talking with you guys about CRMs. Glenn, what is a CRM?
Thanks for asking that question, Christian. CRM stands for Client Relationship Manager. Client relationship manager. So, in the 80s, you had a Rolodex. That was essentially a CRM from the 80s, you guys. You're just slotting those business cards into a Rolodex. You're sitting at your desk. You can just flick through those business cards at any time. My dad had a Rolodex. I remember being like, what the heck is this thing? How you manage the relationship you have with your clients. Now, with the CRM, this is a software, right? That's the Rolodex is from the 80s. Today, there's apps, there's software, cloud-based software that's available anywhere in the world at any time that you can have access to. And there's a million different features and there's a million different types of CRMs out there. So we're probably not going to get, like I said, we're not going to get to everything today. We're not going to be able to talk about every single CRM today. But this is such a crucial part of your business. This is really what, like, in my opinion, I'm talking to an agent on the phone and, obviously this comes up a lot at Lead Heroes, but it's like one of the topics or questions we'll get into is how do the leads get delivered to me, right? If you're buying leads from Lead Heroes or some other lead vendor, how are you going to get those leads? And at Lead Heroes, there's two ways that you're going to get leads from us. Is one, it's going to be a spreadsheet. We'll email you a spreadsheet. That's the Rolodex of 2022, right? Is a spreadsheet. Now, the second way, and this is what I tell everybody, is I'm like, we recommend that you have a CRM. I don't care what CRM. There's a bunch that I can recommend. Again, we have a blog article on leadheroes.com that talks about CRMs. There's a million CRMs. You just need to pick one that you're going to use. And then we can literally take the leads that we generate, drop them into your CRM. And that's not proprietary to Lead Heroes. Most lead vendors can literally take the leads and pipe them directly into your CRM or into your dialing platform. That's the best way to do it. It's the best way to stay organized. It's the best way to stay on top of your leads, of your clients. So, Christian, what's been your experience with CRMs?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a vast topic.
Huge. It's the Sahara Desert. It's massive.
I really got to pick and choose what I actually discuss on this. Otherwise, we'll end up, like our wives are both like looking for us. Like my wife is like crawling through the window here, at the office.
Armed and ready to fire.
Which could very well happen. I mean, we can get into the weeds on this pretty easily. So essentially with CRMs, when I first started in 2014, I was an independent agent working with my dad at the time. And my dad used a software called INSCOM software, which was not in the cloud. It was essentially, it had to be backed up every week in case of computer crash. And the head computer at the receptionist desk had to be turned on in order for any other computers to use it.
Oh my God.
It was ancient, you guys, and
Yeah.
it wasn't in the cloud. That's the biggest thing. I mean, if
Right.
you weren't at the computer that had it installed on the
You
computer,
had to be in the office. You had to be physically in the office to access
Or it
the
wouldn't work.
information.
yeah, or it wouldn't work. So that's
Right.
what we had when I started. And I didn't even get access to it till I was about 2 years in. I mean, I had a file cabinet with apps in it. That's what I had. I didn't have a spreadsheet. I didn't have Jack. And then I finally got access to it. I'm like, this sucks. And, kind of what happened is when I kind of started, branching off and kind of doing my own thing, creating my own company, incorporating everything like I did, I went and I got Radius Bob. Well, first I got my own INSCOM software. I don't know why I thought that would help, but I didn't know anything better. So I used that for about 6 months to 8 months. And I just was like, this sucks. I finally got Radius Bob after a number of years. And Radius Bob was the first software I used. And it was the first CRM that was in the cloud that I used.
Right.
And, one thing that I can say that I instantly loved about it was the capability. I mean, before CRMs, we did no automation. We did no, we used MailChimp. That was essentially as much automation as we did. And we just used it for email blasts, which it's
Right.
great for that. I still do use it for some capacity, but I don't use it nearly as much as I did. A CRM is going to be used for a couple of different things. Number one, keeping track of your client data, because when you get a lot of clients, you start to forget who has what their policy number is, like what their address is, their date of birth, all those things. It's good to just keep track of that data because I don't care who you are, you're not going to be able to remember it all. It's also used to keep track of leads and essentially automatically. That's what automations really stands for. It's an automatic thing, whatever you want to call it. It's an automatic
task essentially that's happening. Right.
Automatic task, automatic trigger,
Right.
that essentially is going to hit a lead through multiple different sources. It can send out emails to leads. It can send out text messages to leads. It can send out ringless pre-recorded voicemails to leads. There's a multitude of different things that a CRM can do. And then it can also do some of that for clients as well, like send out birthday emails, whatever the case might be. Welcome email when they're a new client, whatever. A CRM can also, if you're a recruiting organization, and we know nowadays we use Agency Block, and one of the big reasons why we transitioned from Radius Bob over to Agency Block was so we would have a CRM that gave us capabilities of working with agents, clients, and leads all together, because we work with a lot of agents and their contracts. And so, the only CRMs I've ever personally used myself is Radius Bob, Agency Block, and I did build out my own Go High Level in the past. We still use it for some things, but you'll see a lot of CRMs these days, where people are selling a CRM, and really what it is, they're letting you have access to their custom built Go High Level.
Their content, essentially. Yeah.
I mean, they've built out the templates, they've built out the automations for you, so you can just kind of plug and play. I don't want to get too much in the weeds here, but that's kind of my experience with CRMs up until this point. I have so much I could say about this, but I want to turn it over to you. Question. What has your experience been with CRMs?
Yeah. So, similar to you, like when I first got started in the insurance world, it was like Trapper Keeper 2000, right? It's like, hey, here's the lead. Here's the leads I haven't talked. It's like literally, guys, like one of those, like, I guarantee it's floating around here somewhere, but it's like one of those like accordion, file dividers. And it was like leads I haven't talked to, leads that told me no, leads I have appointments with. And, I'm taking like the direct mail piece, and then it's like, I'm like shuffling it between these different, and now mind you, it worked to a certain degree, right? Like, yes, I understood my own system in my head. Here's the problem where it gets messy is, one, a system like that is just like the software that his dad used to use. you have to have that trapper keeper, that paper to make it work. And I can't just like hire an assistant and say, here, call all my leads, unless obviously they're sitting right next to me. If they're not sitting right next to me, then it doesn't work, right? It can't be accessed remotely. So that was a big problem. But the biggest problem of a system like that is it gets messy. You lose that paper and all of a sudden that information's gone. And you're trying to reference that. If you're sending an email or you're working on a computer and you're trying to reference that piece of paper, you'd have to scan it in. You don't have that information available to you. So I did start to utilize Radius Bob. That was one of the first CRMs that I really got involved with. I've also worked with Zoho, which isn't an insurance specific CRM software, but it's it's a company I really like that I would recommend if someone was looking for software. At Lead Heroes, we've integrated into probably more than 100 different types of CRMs, if I'm being honest. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a CRM expert, but I have seen an incredible amount of CRMs. And it seems like every day there's a new CRM that pops up. So
yeah,
I would like to think I can maybe help you guys navigate some of the pitfalls that I see with CRMs. The number one being that people don't use them. That's the biggest one, is people sign up for them and then they don't use them. It happens every day. One thing I wanted to ask you, Christian, was here's kind of a debate, I think, within the industry. Okay. And I literally just talked to an agent about it within the last week. There's CRMs for marketing, okay, lead focused CRMs that are going to help you take a lead and nurture it and convert it into a client, okay? But then the other side is more of a true CRM, in my opinion, a client relationship manager. They don't really have marketing tools built into it. It's really more around managing your clients. When was the last time this client got talked to? What's the latest with this client? Now, I do believe there's probably some CRMs out there that are good at both. But what do you think is more important for an agent to have? Do they need two different types of CRMs? Because a lot of agents have multiple CRMs. It's kind of crazy to think about. I think probably the majority don't have a CRM. And then there's a lot of agents that have multiple CRMs. So it's insanity out there. It's insanity. But what do you think about the marketing CRM versus the CRM for clients? Do you need multiple? Is there some that you think can just do both? What do you think?
I think that, I saw friend of the show, Joanna Wyckoff, post that, over at Nation Care, they have Agency Block to keep track of just agent contracts.
Right.
Which to me personally, I hope you don't take this offensively, Joanna. I think that's a mistake because that CRM is so much more than just keeping track of licenses. And then they use Go High Level for everything else. That's fine. I think it's dramatically overcomplicating things. I'll be honest with you. I 100% believe that. I do feel like people that use Go High Level as an actual CRM for their clients are doing themselves a disservice. And I'm not saying this to really, say that anybody that's using, that's selling a Go High Level product is bad or wrong. I mean, I think there's some really great systems out there. I think Eric Fierro's is fantastic. I think Eric does a great job and he's a friend of the show. My experience with Go High Level is it's designed to be a lead aggravator. That's what it should be. So if you're going to use two different systems, that could be the argument for it. Like you use a traditional CRM for keeping track of your clients, those kind of things. Now that with an Agency Block that it integrates with Zapier and you can essentially connect it with a Go High Level, or you can connect it with a MailChimp even, or you can connect it with, take your pick, right? You can connect it with a Facebook ad, right? If you're going to run a Facebook ad, a website conversion ad, you're pumping traffic into a landing page that you've created. You can essentially now connect your landing page through a Zapier, like a connecting tool platform, and kind of push that lead to where it automatically goes into an Agency Block, right? So, and then it can automatically set up automations for leads, which Agency Block does a great job of doing that. It doesn't have the ringless voicemail capabilities. It doesn't do text messages like Go High Level does. So the argument for Go High Level is it's going to hit the lead in more ways. So I think if you're a big agency and you wanted to do that and you wanted to kind of go through the struggle of setting it up, I can tell you this, setting up a Go High Level account yourself, it is a freaking pain in the ass. Like it can take you tons of time. I talked with Steven Martinez with Justin Brock's office. I said his name about last year. And he told me that to get there at Go High Level to where they wanted it, it took him like 8 months. And so if you don't want to go, if you're a brand new agent and you see all these people talking about CRMs, I've made this clear in my thoughts before. There's nothing that annoys me more than an agent that gets on the phone with me. And I'm going to go on a rant just for a second here. I won't take too much time, but like,
do it.
There's nothing that annoys me more than an agent that gets on the phone with me and they are brand new. They just got ready to sell. They've never sold a policy. And all they're worried about is their stupid effing CRM. I'm like, guys, I just told you guys, I just admitted to you, I had archaic technology when I started.
Hang on, really fast. Okay. There was a Facebook thread the other day talking about CRMs. Okay. And there was someone that is, I wouldn't call them an influencer, but like they're big in the industry. Like they have a pretty big downline. Like this is a person that's been around for a while. Like most people would probably recognize the name if like, you know, people, and they were publicly bragging in this thread about not using a CRM. Do you remember this? Do you remember this person, the comment? Okay. I just about fell over because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, do you really think that's like, is that something like to be proud of? Like, I don't use a CRM. Like we're in 2022. The amount of technology that's available to agents is insane. And you're essentially bragging about not leveraging technology. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know. What were your thoughts when you saw that as well?
I don't understand why that's a good thing if you're a big agency.
Yeah, you have to have a CRM. You have to. I mean, I don't get it.
I've talked to agents that have been in the business a long time, even some of ours, you know, that like they'll say, you know, I use Excel. I keep everything on an Excel spreadsheet and I have it customized and I have it encrypted and all this stuff. Right. That's fine, I guess. I mean, I guess Excel has some pretty deep features to it that like I don't use it like that. Right. Whatever floats your boat. I mean, I'm going to say this. Okay. If you have even a decent amount of clients, or you're an agency or you're a big agency, I think it's fully within your best interest to have a CRM. I don't think you need 2. I don't think you need 3. I don't think you need this super complicated thing. I think if you have a CRM and you're using all of its features to its full capacity, you're probably ahead of 99% of everybody else that's using
100%.
Well.
Yes. 100%, I agree.
And if you're just newly licensed and you've never sold a product before, you should go out and get your feet wet and cut your teeth selling before you're worrying about trying out 25 CRMs and not doing anything for your first 90 days.
That was what you were saying. Your rant was you were bothered that there's agents who have literally not sold. You're putting the cart in front of the horse, essentially, right?
Yes.
They're literally going to spend. I know these agents, bro. Oh my gosh, I could jump off my roof just thinking about it. Honestly, like
there is no good reason to be worrying about your CRM when you have nothing to put in it.
I'd rather if the choice for a new agent was, I'm going to spend the next 3 months researching CRMs, or I'm going to spend the next 3 months just like door knocking and selling, and I'll worry about a CRM later. I would rather that agent go sell. Figure out the CRM after you've got your sea legs on you. The analysis paralysis that some of you guys have is nauseating. And that's coming from someone. I like to analyze things. I'll take time making decisions. My wife calls me a Libra, which I am a Libra. But whenever I don't make a decision right away, she's like, "You're such a Libra, Glen." And I'm like, okay, like I'm just trying to make an educated decision. So listen, I get it, you guys. I understand the research, wanting to make an educated decision. Sometimes you might end up switching software, right? It happens all the time. I have switched many different softwares at Lead Heroes that we've used because I feel like there's different softwares that we can utilize better, or they have better features. Time goes on, different companies do things differently, and some of them do it better. But to waste time at the beginning of your career trying to pick one is crazy. Here's the other problem too, is especially if you're selling over the phone, is dialers. There's all this different dialer software out there. So now there's like this big overlap between dialers and CRMs. I was looking at, again, on Lead Heroes, on leadheroes.com, we have a blog article that talks about CRMs. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, that's really more of a dialer than a CRM. But the truth is there's a huge overlap there. So you might need a dialer and you might not even need a CRM. And then some CRMs like Radius Bob, they have dialers built in that you can take advantage of, but it's an additional feature. I'm going to just kind of hammer off some names for you guys because I feel like everyone always wants a name. So here's some names. I'm just going to hammer some names and I'll let Christian take over. Velocify, Radius Bob, Salesforce, All Clients, Agency Block, Zoho, Starter CRM, Agent Cubed, Pipedrive. This list was created really before Go High Level became insanely popular. It seems like Go High Level is one of the top CRMs that people use now. But what else? What else do you think about CRMs, Christian? What am I missing?
Yeah. I think that's the thing that really triggers me the most, though, is just the analyzing of it all. I think, there's a lot of people that use HubSpot and it's free.
Yep.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal, especially when you don't have any clients. Now, I do believe if you have a couple hundred clients, 500, 1,000, then it kind of becomes more of something where it's going to be a focus for you. And especially if you have multiple layers to your business, like we do, we have, from my book of business, we have a pretty substantial book of business that, from my book of business from selling that we take care of, we service. We have leads coming in, consistently to our CRM, and we have agents, we have downline agents, and we have, agents who have agents of their own agents, so we got to keep track of who's under what hierarchy and everything like that. And it can get very complicated. And, we got to know what states they're appointed with for each carrier, and what states they're licensed in. And it can get very overwhelming. I think that, back to Go High Level for just a second here.
Yeah. Let's talk about, because again, that's one of the biggest ones I see discussed now is Go High Level.
So, Go High Level is, if you're going to try to build out your own, it's incredibly time consuming and it very much can get into the weeds. I've done it. I know. It's an awesome software, but it's not designed to manage, let's say a 2,000 person book of business. It's not designed for that. It's designed really to follow up with leads. It's not the CRM that you should be using for client information and things like that. That's always been my viewpoint on it. It's a fantastic lead aggravating service.
So then you're essentially, what I'm hearing, it sounds like you're a proponent of having multiple CRMs, because if that's like a lead aggregating service, but you would recommend, because honestly, I feel like most agents that I work with will have, especially the agency owners, they'll have two CRMs.
Yeah. I would say this. I would say I can see why certain agencies might want to do it. In my opinion, I think if you are under $500,000 in revenue, shouldn't even, have one CRM. And if
that's a great point. That's a great point.
That would be my cleaning up what I said, if you will, because I see
clean that shit up. Yes, please.
I see situations where, it can be helpful. And I think if you don't want to go through the process of building out your own CRM and you partner with, say, an Eric Fierro, and he kind of does all of the groundwork for you to kind of put it into place and make it such a functional tool for you. And maybe you can connect it with a Zapier to an agency block or something like that. You can kind of let them use them, work together. I see that.
Right.
I talked with an agent who works with us, and she spent a lot of time last year, and she's a good agent. She's a good agent. She has clients and things like that, but she doesn't have a ton of staff, a ton of, anything like that, to kind of help her kind of design this stuff. And she told me, she was like, I'll be honest. She's like, I have 3 CRMs right now, and they're all supposed to do something different. And it's just so overwhelming for me. And I feel like I've wasted so much time researching all of this. And I still don't feel like I'm using it correctly. And I told her, I was like, I was like, we use Agency Block, just go use Agency Block, forget all the rest if I were you. Don't worry about all that stuff right now. And so she did that. And she was like, this is so much easier for me. And it's done doing what I want it to do. And now I can just focus on what I need to focus on.
Right.
I think there's levels to this, right? Like anything, there's levels to this.
100%. I mean, speaking of levels, one of our clients spent more than six figure. I won't get too specific here, but we have a client at Lead Heroes who has spent more than six figures on having a customization of Salesforce done for their agency. So, you know, there's different levels to this.
Yes.
There's different levels. If you're a brand new independent agent, the idea of spending more than $100,000 on a customized CRM for your business makes no sense at all. That's insanity. But the reality is, if you get to that point as an agency owner, you might either need to invest a lot of money, invest a lot of time, or you might need multiple software solutions, because I do see it both ways. I see the insanity of having multiple software solutions where there's a lot of overlap and you're choosing to balance two different softwares when you could get most of it, if not all of it, done with one. But the flip side is there's changes happening all the time. A lot of these CRMs have new features, whereas other CRMs won't get new features. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, if only I could do that feature. And then all of a sudden you are balancing it with two, and it makes sense. So you kind of have to figure out what's most important for you. Top three CRMs, if you're a independent agent or a small agency owner, if you had to pick three off the top of your head, what would you pick?
Well, I mean, I think the two that we've used pretty heavily over the years, I think Radius Bob is great. Like Cameron Giardini said on my rant in the Facebook group that he's like, every agent should just go get Radius Bob and be done with it and stop talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, Radius Bob is a pretty badass tool, you know.
Definitely top three.
It's a great, easy to use. Individual agents can get on it and it works fine. Cheap,
scalable, right?
Yeah.
Radius Bob scalable. You can scale that thing out for an agency, or you can use it as an independent agent. It can work both ways. Very feature rich.
I'll put Agency Block in there. And
that's your dude. You're pulling my top three. Let's go. Agency Block. Yes.
I think with Agency Block, as a user of it, I mean, we use it probably more complicated wise, but there's a lot of things you can do with it. Like you can create tasks in it for different people in your office. We don't utilize that. We probably should. It has commission tracking. It's got a calendar in there, which is kind of cool. We don't use the calendar, but it's got, you know, automated emails, automated workflows that is a pretty advanced, pretty sophisticated. And, you know, I like that if you're doing recruiting, it's a really great, you know, software for that. There's a lot of cool things you can do with Agency Block. And I think now that it has the Zapier integration, that's huge, you know, because it helps connect it with all these other tools that we might be using, like a thanks.io, which I probably have already done the training by the time this comes out, but I'm doing a training on that, or did a training on that. But, you know, thanks.io is like a send out cards, you know, like it sends out automated birthday letters to clients, thank you cards, whatever you want it to do. And it's just automated. Like that just completely removed a bunch of tasks from my office that we did internally. We don't have to do it anymore. So I think, you know, Agency Block's definitely got to be number two in the top two. I mean,
top two for sure. Yeah.
No specific order.
Right. Yeah. No specific order, but in a top three rank for sure. I totally agree. So you hit 2 out of 3 for me.
I would say my number 3 would be, I don't think it's such a bad idea to pick up somebody's version of Go High Level. I do believe that long-term, if you're trying to expect it to keep up with, you know, a 1,500 client book of business, it's not going to be able to do that. It's going to, you know, have lags. It's just not, the system isn't built for that.
Right.
But it's nice from a marketing perspective. I would put HubSpot in there because it's free. People, new agents specifically, have a really hard time wrapping their head around spending money on anything. So if you're just dead set on getting a CRM, but you don't want to spend $30 a month for Radius Bob or whatever it costs, HubSpot is free. And if you're never going to use it, at least you didn't spend money on it.
100%. 100%. Get a free trial, you guys. Pro tip. Make sure you're actually going to use it. That's really the most important thing, though, is like, don't get a CRM if you're not going to use it. You're just wasting your time, especially if you're spending money on something that you're not using. It's silly. You hit 2 out of 3. And the thing is, if Go High Level would be included, but again, like, it's almost different. It's
Like
still
its own
CRM,
thing.
right? It's kind of its own thing. And there's other kind of like lead nurturing services like that out there. So it's almost I'm kind of in that same opinion mindset where it's like these lead nurturing CRMs should really kind of be separated out from like true client relationship managers like Salesforce, Zoho, Agency Block, Radius Block. These are built on how do you manage your clients? How do you stay in contact with them? How do you assign a client to an agent in your downline, tracking commissions? Like, Go High Level is not going to be able to compete with all that stuff. So my third, if we're doing like true CRMs and we're not really talking about the lead aggregator, I'd probably put Zoho there because it's cheap, easy to customize, and simple to use. It's not built for insurance agents specifically though. So it wouldn't be my number one pick. Radius Bob would probably be my number one pick, and then Agency Block, and then Zoho. Obviously, again, like the reason that there's a million CRM systems is because there's no one size fits all, you guys.
Right.
There's no such thing as a one size fits all CRM. If you might be in a certain part of your business where trying to utilize something like Zoho just doesn't make any sense. Or the flip side, you might sign up for a service like Go High Level and you're like, oh man, I really didn't need this. I really needed something more basic. I don't know. And you have to figure that out. You kind of have to date some of these CRMs. You don't have to spend 3 months doing it. You can do some basic research and ask a few, peers, friends, hey, what do you use? What would you recommend? Hopefully we gave you guys some recommendations today on the podcast. We get asked so often. I can't tell you how many times this comes up. I can't tell you how many times this comes up. Glenn, what CRM should I use? Glenn, what CRM should I use? Christian, what CRM should I use? Guys, CRMs. What do I do? Like, I know this has only been about 30 minutes, but there's plenty of information that we just talked about that should give you a head start, put you in the right direction. This episode is probably like, yeah, we could do a part 2, 3, 4, 5, but you probably don't need to hear a part 2, 3, 4, 5. You can probably, understand enough from this and jump into it.
Yep. Final thoughts, Glenn, on this episode. I mean, I think this was great stuff.
Final thoughts. I personally believe long-term success of an insurance agent or an insurance agency owner requires a CRM. I really do. And at one point that wasn't true. But now with the technology that's available today and the software that's available today and what these softwares can do to help you, to save you time, to retain clients. Again, we've kind of talked about some of these different features that will come up. I mean, there's so much. There's a lot of different features you can utilize by having their information right there. So I think you'd be crazy not to use one. That's really, I'll keep it simple. That's my final thought is you'd be crazy not to use a CRM. Christian, final thoughts.
Yeah. I think you hit it right on the head. I think long-term, a CRM is a necessary tool for your agency. I definitely think that. I think one mistake that agents make is when they're asking Glenn, which CRM should I use? Or they're asking me, what CRM should I use? You guys talk as if there's let's say there's 600 CRMs out there you could choose or some crazy number. You guys act like we've used all of them.
We have not. That's a great point.
I have people literally multiple times a week. Some of them I know, some of them I don't know. They're just random people. They'll slide in my DMs and they'll send me a link to a CRM and they're like, I'd love to get your opinion on this CRM. I'm like, you understand that I'd have to sign up for it and try it to give you any opinion whatsoever. Like
Yes.
I've made it very clear. I've used two really heavily. I don't know jack about any others. So I can give my opinion. I can give, and I've used Go High Level. I know a lot about Go High Level, but like,
Yeah.
if you want to throw that in there, but, and there's nobody out there, unless they don't make any money and have no business, that has spent all this time trying out all these CRMs. Most people have tried out a couple and they know the couple pretty well. And so I would say, you guys overthink it. Having one is better than not having one at all. But my whole point on, if you're a new agent, worry about it later, and don't put so much effort and thought into it right now, was mainly due to the fact that let's just see if you're going to last in this business first.
Don't put the cart in front of the horse.
Right.
You should have a horse that's able to run, and then you can put the cart behind it, you guys.
Exactly. Like I don't mean say that to be mean or cruel to you. It's not my message at all, but like, you guys got to get some freaking money coming through, right? Like that's the name of the game. And so I always tell people, like, I mean, I started as if I started in the 1990s. I was cold calling off lists. I didn't have a dialer. I had a freaking phone like this, and I was just going through a list one by one with a pen, making notes. I didn't have a CRM. I didn't have any of this crap.
Right.
I still made a 6-figure income before I ever even started using any of this stuff. Now, is that I recommend that of you guys in 2022? No, that's not my message, but my message is maybe go write 5 policies before you worry about the CRM.
Jeez, yes, seriously. Holy cow. That seems really basic. Right? Like, it seems really basic, but yeah. Maybe make sure that this is what you want to do before you spend bunch of time, energy, and money on CRMs.
CRM doesn't matter more than making money.
Correct.
So that would be my final thoughts.
I love it. You guys, no matter what platform you're watching this on, if you have a comment or a question about a CRM, I would love to condense some of these questions that Christian and I get. Comment below this video. No matter what platform you're seeing this on, you're on Facebook, YouTube, wherever. Let us know what you think. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe the video. Leave us a review if you're listening to the podcast. We appreciate your guys' time.
Yep.
We're looking forward to the rest of season 3. I was thinking about this, Christian. Season 3, like in sitcom terms, usually season 3 is like one of those good seasons. I mean, season 3 of Breaking Bad. I mean, come on. Woo! Great season.
Season 3 of Big Bang Theory or better.
Or there you go.
I mean, 2.5 Men is a personal favorite of mine.
Oh, I love 2.5 Men. Charlie Sheen, let's go. Let's go. The Sheenster. I love it.
And season 3 was like before he went off the deep end.
Yeah.
Went crazy. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Season 3.
This is it, guys. This is the prime.
Yeah.
You're getting us at the prime right now.
Are you saying it's only going to go downhill from here?
It depends on the show. I think we've got plenty of seasons left. I really do. I think this could be going on for quite some time, you guys. So
so guys, watch for season 30. And
yes. Pay. You'll have to pay to get behind the paywall at that point. Season 30 will probably cost thousands of dollars an episode because the information will be so.
Yep. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all of you. And until next time, we'll be back with another episode. And keep eating tacos, keep selling insurance, and do it compliantly, do it ethically, but in massive volume.
Make some money.
See you guys.